excited to see you guys and welcome to Food Science.
My name is Sonali, this is Staff, and together we make BodyPlot. BodyPlot is a health and wellness consultancy. We help people all over the world get into the best health and shape of their lives through sustainable, healthy and balanced lifestyle changes. So no diets here, it's all healthy, it's all balanced, and we can't wait to help you all today.
So today we're going to talk about food science. What is food science?
Well, food science is all about the way we eat, the nutrition and the quality of our foods, which can either be the best form of medicine or the worst form of poison. However, food science has always been around us. Our ancestors relied upon food science to make incredible choices, and these choices have been passed down to us through our ancestors, our parents, our grandparents, and have been in all of our traditions and embedded into a lot of our events as well. Something as simple as using fermented foods, for example, is a great form of nutrition which helps our gut microbiome and our immunity too. I know my grandma had tons of fermented pickles in her fridge. She didn't know why, but they were incredibly healthy and beneficial for our body.
However, a few things have changed since the times of our ancestors, and therefore the way we behave in the factors in our life have also changed. For example, our lifestyles are far worse now than they were back when our grandparents were growing up. Sleep is such a massive thing, and our grandparents used to easily get in 7 to 9 hours, uninterrupted, good quality sleep. They didn't have the likes of Netflix, social media, Instagram, or any other things to really interrupt and delay how late they used to go to sleep. And they were so in sync with the circadian rhythm that they would be up without an alarm clock every single morning just through sunlight coming up. The second thing is thinking about how easily accessible caffeine, sugary items, and things that are just overall not so good for you on a regular basis, how easily accessible this is to us now. This then has a massive impact on our overall lifestyle and how our health is then affected.
Our stress levels are also far more elevated now than before, and also we just don't manage our stress levels the way we should. Mindfulness, though it's a trending hot topic, is actually something our grandparents embedded into their lifestyle without actually categorizing it as mindfulness. Meditation, calmly and mindfully eating were all elements that our grandparents, our great-grandparents integrated into their lifestyles to keep a really good, happy gut and an overall healthy body.
Our grandparents also had a great farm-to-plate mentality when it came to eating food. They ate organically, they ate foods that had no pesticides, additives, extra chemicals and sugars added to the foods to give them a longer shelf life like we're so used to these days. This has a massive ongoing effect on how our body then reacts to the food that we consume.
Our grandparents also lived far more energetic lifestyles. We're all looking at our Fitbits and trying to smash those 10,000 steps a day. Our grandparents did this with ease. Most of our ancestors had quite laborious or manual jobs, which meant they were on their feet from dawn till dusk. That required a greater demand of calories and carbohydrates, which was perfect at the time. But now, we can't actually eat like our ancestors did if our lifestyles are just that different. Now that our lifestyles are a lot more sedentary, we need to make sure that we're eating and nourishing our bodies for this change in lifestyle too. We can't possibly eat like our ancestors if our lifestyles have completely changed.
And lastly, emotional eating is a topic we deal with in today's society every single day. This is not a topic our grandparents used to have to deal with simply because they relied on their own systems to tell them when they were full, when they were hungry, if they needed something to nourish their body. The word nourish is really not used as much in today's society as we should be using it. We sadly lead more gluttonous lifestyles based on what we feel we need or desire at the time. It's important, therefore, to take the knowledge gained from our ancestors and apply it to today's lifestyle to make it relevant, beneficial, and overall make our diets more nourishing.
We're therefore going to provide you with 4 really easy tips Tips that you can use at home straight away so that we can bring our ancestors' knowledge and our knowledge from Western science together. Tip number 1, try to cook without oil or use very, very little.
This is such an easy one, isn't it? I feel like people who are listening to this right now are going, what? Impossible.
Absolutely, but it is so easy. Shaf and I cook all of our food without oil, and it means that whilst the oil has got some omega-3, especially rapeseed oil and extra virgin olive oil, it also does come with just exclusive fats. Whereas if we have the olive rather than the olive oil, you're able to get those lovely heart-healthy fats, but also make use of the nutrition that the whole olive gives.
Completely agree. I think this is a great idea, and actually something that once you try it once, you will realise it is very much possible, and the taste and texture of your food will be the same.
So what can you use instead? You can of course use a light brush of olive oil or rapeseed oil should you need to. Definitely grab yourself an oil brush, it's going to be your best friend in the kitchen, or just use water. Water is a fantastic addition to your curries, your noodles, your pastas to help you make more conscious choices in the kitchen and to eliminate that oil altogether.
Tip number 2, steaming your vegetables.
Steaming your vegetables is so easy. You can do it in advance, you can do it a day before or even 2 days before. What are some really good things that you can steam, Shaf?
Generally on an everyday basis, I'll steam broccoli, carrots, cauliflower, to be honest, anything, and it's such a simple process. You're just making sure that what you're steaming does not come into contact with water. It's simply cooked through the use of steam.
By doing so, it means that you don't lose some of your most essential nutrients and vitamins, such as vitamin B1, vitamin C, and folate. By boiling your vegetables, a lot of these vitamins go into the water and we tend to lose them. By steaming, we allow our vegetables to retain these nutrients, and if you are using the same pan, it means that all those nutrients can also go back into the sauces that you might be using for that pasta or the gravy to your curry. Vegetables is not the only thing you can steam. My nanny used to make undyun shak, which is a green curry, and she used to completely steam the balls that she would put in. And you can even steam some of your most favourite snack foods. I love my mutia and I always steam them too.
Tip number 3, slow cooking. And this is one which I think is easily something all of us can apply straight away. Yes, we have slow cookers and Instapots these days, but really who started it all? It was really from back in the day when our ancestors, our grandparents had a lot more time and value towards what they were cooking and used to really give it a good few more hours than we're used to doing now.
When we think about food as being this beautiful blessing and a beautiful form of nourishment, like Shaf mentioned earlier, we learn to appreciate it, we look after it, we understand the value of it to our health. And anything that gives us value needs to be looked after. And of course, we definitely need to work through things a lot slower if we want to look after them. Our ancestors used to slow cook to retain all the nutrients and to help us from killing off all those enzymes and those beautiful nourishing vitamins and minerals that can be killed off when we cook really fast. Now, we understand, right? Everybody's in a rush right now. We've all got things to do. We're managing the kids and home and everything else. So how do we actually integrate this into our lifestyles?
Well, if you haven't listed it already, I think Amazon's Prime Day was on last week. So jump on there, search up slow cooker. Dead easy to use. You do not have to be a whiz in the kitchen. But what it does mean is we are treating our food with that same value, giving it the time it deserves to cook as our ancestors did.
Also see if you can buy packets of food rather than canned foods. So using a nice fresh load of kidney beans or black-eyed beans rather than using the canned beans. That's not to say canned foods are not healthy, by the way, because they are. But if you do happen to grab a pack of fresh kidney beans, you will definitely taste the freshness.
I like to think of slow cooking as a great example of how old science has met new science, because yes, our grandparents didn't necessarily slow cook because millions of pounds of research was spent on how to figure out how to retain nutrients. They just did it because they had the time, that was the lifestyle at the time, and that's just what everyone did. But we now know they're onto something. And so this is a great way to still integrate some of these old sciences into this new science world.
So we've talked lots about how to prepare foods and how to use the knowledge that our ancestors gave us and how we marry it up with Western science. But what about the quality of the food that we're actually consuming? So tip number 4, let's really think about a balanced plate. So our ancestors, as we mentioned earlier, had incredibly manual and laborious jobs, which meant they were expending more energy, they required more calories and required more carbohydrates too. Now that our lifestyles are so different, we have a greater need for macronutrients such as fats and protein, and we have a lower requirement for as many carbohydrates. Now, we're not saying don't eat carbohydrates, are we?
Not at all. We are team carbs all day long. It's just about having them in the right way, in the right balance, to ensure that you have all the other macronutrients you need to have a balanced plate.
Absolutely. An important element of carbohydrates is also fiber, and we know from so much research that fiber is crucial to gut health. Where we are seeing an alarming rate of patients with IBD, IBS, and plenty of other gut-related conditions, it has never been more important to look after our guts in the right way. So eating enough fiber is crucial. So that means bringing in those legumes, those lentils, those whole grains such as oats, quinoa and bulgur wheat, and of course filling up half of your plate with vegetables. So a great tip, which we always do, is make a massive salad at the beginning of your week or at the end of the weekend. Tighten it up in an airtight glass container and it will last you for the whole week. Just be sure to add lots and lots of different colours, loads of different colours of the rainbow, so that you are feeding your gut as well as bringing in lots of vitamins and minerals too.
It's quite alarming that actually we're supposed to be consuming 28 grams of fibre for the ladies out there and 38 grams of fibre for the males. And actually an alarming statistic is actually most of the population is consuming half of that or below.
So it's never been more important to make sure you're getting your fibre intake in.
So we've spoken about fibre and how important it is. Let's talk about protein. Protein is another really important component to consider when thinking about a balanced plate. Now we know that members of the South Asian community in particular do tend to struggle with ensuring they have enough protein in their diet. But there are really easy ways to really put together a balanced plate to ensure that you're having enough protein and still have a really, really delicious meal.
Absolutely. So one of our favourite dishes is dosa. But rather than making your dosa with white rice, try adding lentils. We add mung beans to our dosas and then we complement it with a gorgeous Greek yogurt dip. Greek yogurt is high in protein and has lots of live cultures, which is beneficial for the gut. Be sure to make sure it's Greek yogurt, not Greek style, and feel free to add lots of jeera, some spring onions, some chives and herbs to really flavour it up and make it a delicious accompaniment to your dosa.
Oh, I'm hungry just talking about this. Another great example of bringing some balance to your plate is tofu curry. Having palak tofu is a great way of bringing our normal dishes that we're used to having, but just adding a little bit more protein to your plate and replacing things like paneer and other examples that you ordinarily would have. Having the tofu on your plate means you're getting the right amount of protein, extra protein into your diet, and you do not feel like you are missing out on the dish you love to eat.
Absolutely. I personally love putting my tofu cubes into the air fryer to make it nice and crispy, almost like you're eating paneer, but then tossing it into the palak and making it rich in iron as well, B vitamins, and a host of other minerals.
Now, I love my chapatis. I don't know about you guys, but it's not something I'm willing to give up.
Well, you don't need to.
It's so easy to still get it into your daily diet and just replace certain things in there, like having that white flour, replace it with wholemeal flour. Get some more fiber, some more protein into your diet. Having whole grain flour as a replacement allows you to still enjoy your chapatis, just like I do every single day, and not feel like it's something you need to remove.
Absolutely. You can also mix your wholemeal flour with multi-grain flour too, or you can exclusively have multi-grain flour. We also love adding soya flour or quinoa flour in there too, just again to bring in a little bit more protein. We also use our chapatis for other meals, right?
Yes, and I'm not going to lie, I do not have the creativity of this genius here when it comes to this stuff. But your infusion when it comes to making our chapatis and pizzas, believe it or not, is very possible and very, very delicious.
Friday night pizza night is always on a multi-grain chapati. It's just like having a wrap, but better and homemade. You can also make avocado and hummus wraps. You can make a salad wrap. The options are endless.
Now, before hearing these tips, you may have thought, I can't do this. I can't live similar lifestyle to my ancestors. But actually, now you've noticed, it's very, very possible. These are small changes that we're helping you think about making. It's not a big ask to just replace the flour that you ordinarily would have in the meal you ordinarily would have. So these are small changes, really incremental changes that really make a big effect in the long term.
And we have a challenge for all of you listening here today. We want you to take on one of the tips that we have given you today and apply it this week. Try not to see it as a long list of changes, but like Shaf said, incremental changes. Apply one of our tips to your lifestyle every week, and before you know it, by the end of summer, you're going to be leading healthier, happier, and more fulfilled lives.
Food science does not have to feel so complicated. You should not feel like you need to have a science lesson to get through it or to really second guess the things you're doing. These are really simple asks that you can apply every single day. And we know that ancestral science and modern science can come together in a happy place in your kitchen.
And it tastes delicious too. So thank you so much for joining us, everybody.